Hello, welcome back to JR Oil Paintings 101. And you can see here we got this 20 by 24 inch stretched canvas that's all prepped with liquid white on there, so it's nice and slick, ready to go. This is a wet on wet technique. I'm going to quickly run down the colors that I use. We got the Blues Brothers, which is phthalo blue and Prussian blue. We got the Greenies, which is sap green and phthalo green. Then Van Dyke brown, burnt sienna, black, alizarin crimson, red. Then we got all the yellers, which is cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, and then of course titanium white. Like I say, this is a wet on wet technique. And before we get too far into this, I just want to thank everybody that has been tuning in and subscribing to my videos. Uh, if you haven't subscribed yet, I would appreciate it if you did. Uh, just a little old button. You just have to press it. It doesn't hurt. I promise you. Anyway, we're going to go with just a nice, simple little sky today. I don't know if we'll probably put in a cloud or two, but we're just going to tap a little bit of phthalo blue into our 2-inch brush here. It just kind of tips on the edge there. Makes it cleaning easier when you got just on the tips of your brush here. So I'm going to start with the corners, get them nice and dark. And then we're just going to back and forth it. Leave some of these lighter colored areas where you get a little bit of variation of color into the sky. It's not just one flat color. Well, we're going to just blend it out just a little bit, get all the brush strokes out. Just something like that. That's going to be a nice little sky here. We're going to have some mountains and stuff in here, but so we're not going to go too crazy with the sky. And I think now we're going to have some dark water here. So we're going to go into the phthalo blue. Just tap some into your brush there with the not phthalo blue, Prussian blue. Prussian blue is a lot darker. You'll see in just a second. And you're just going to tap some color into it. Now we're going to have some water here somewhere. So I'm just going to fill the rest of this in with watercolor here, which is this right here. And you're just going to pull one way because if it's still water, it's going to be level. Just try and keep it level, as level as you can. My level's kind of off, so something like that. Like I say, I'm not sure where we're going to have water today, so we're just going to fill this whole canvas up. We might not even have water. We're going to fill all that in with something else. Who knows? But if you've ever seen this wet on wet technique before, you know, if you don't like something, you can cover it up. Start over. So it's going to be something about like that. We're going to leave that little light spot because if we do something with a bunch of water in there, it's going to look like it's a little sheen of light going through across the water. So I don't think we're going to do a cloud with this one because I think we're going to have a couple of mountain ranges here and there. So we're going to mix up a little mountain color with a little phthalo blue, a little Prussian blue, a little bit of black, and a whole lot of crimson. I'm going to give it kind of a purplish hue to it. And we're going to very loosely mix this on the palette. And we got quite a bit of it going here. Because, like I say, we're going to, some of it will be used for trees and stuff. We're going to use this throughout the whole painting. I say it's me and my mouse I have in my pocket. This is just a one man outfit over here. So let's see. We're going to take just a little bit of that color, and you're going to cut off a little piece of paint and leave it on the tip of your knife right there, just about like that. And now we're going to make a big, huge mountain. Actually, we're going to make a small one first, right over here. I'm going way up high here, and just get you a rough mountain shape. concerned with the very edge of the mountain. The rest of it will come into being later. But one nice crisp edge on that mountain. When you're off in a distance here, that's what you're going to see first is a nice crisp clear edge on the top. The rest of it's going to be kind of indistinct. I'll have a little bit of stuff here and there, but we're not going to have too big of a mountain right here. Because these things grow on me. Sometimes I say it's going to be a small mountain and it turns into one big suckers. But I think that's going to be it right there. We're going to take our same brush we were just using to put all this blue in there. Because it's got blue, it's blue. So we're just going to take it and try not to disturb that top edge. Just grab a little bit of it and pull down. And pull this way and that way. And then this little guy here. We'll go straight down. And then we're going to go back over this way just a touch. This does two things. It gets rid of some of the excess paint so the next layer will stick a little bit easier. And it gets a little indistinct bottom to your mountain here. Yeah, we're going to have something like that. There we go. Nice little mountain. I told you it's going to be a little mountain. So maybe get a bit. It grows on me. Next one's going to be over here. It's going to be huge. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see. We're going to have a nice mountain. I like all mountains. Now we're going to take a little titanium white. Same way, just get you a little bit of paint on the edge of that knife. Now here's where the practice really needs to start happening, is how you grab that knife. Hold it nice and loose. Usually it's just 2 fingers. Don't put any pressure on that blade. So don't put a finger on that blade. Just keep your fingers on that knife. Nice and loose where you're almost going to drop it. And you're not going to have any pressure on this. And you're just going to touch it with the paint only. Try not to get that blade on there. And just very lightly. We're just going to go down with it. This one we're going to kind of rub into just a little bit to get some of that color from underneath to break through, shine through a little bit. So this is going to be our far off mountain. The other one's going to be a little bit darker. And we're just going to go right into this one. And you want that paint to break on there. It makes it look like a mountain. And that's gives your mountain your color and your flavor to it. So that's what makes a mountain look like a mountain. You want that little breaking area right there. Now, if you're like me and you don't like that distinct line, just break it up just a little bit. Just come out here just a little and bring it down. Yeah, about like that. You know, you just about like that. We'll put the low lights on. I always like to do my highlights first, my low lights next. And then we're just going to bring it on down just about like that. I'm going to come in and just like that. We're going to flay this out about a bit like that. Just kind of brush it over. We're going to have kind of a little valley right in there. You're just going to play back and forth here with a little bit of highlight. We'll put on some, like I say, some low lights here in just a little bit. I'm going to have a little bit of highlight on him. And he'll be pushed back. Then we'll just give him some little added flavor to it here. A little bit more in there. I like that. I like our little mountain so far. What do you think? Like that? I do too. I'm going to take the smaller knife for the low lights here. And for low light color, we're going to have some just titanium white. And then just a very, very small amount of phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is a very stout color, and it doesn't take much to flavor this white. And that's all you want, just a little bit of flavor to it. It's got to be a little bit more color than what you got up there now, but you don't want it too blue. If you get too much blue in there, it to me, it doesn't look right. It looks like your sky is trying to come through your mountain. So, but that's just the way I like it. You can do your mountains however you want to do it. It's your mountain. So I like to mix my low light color a lot more than the highlight color. Highlight color is just plain old white. But we want the low light color mixed thoroughly. And then we're just going to do the same thing here as we did there. Just grab it and pull. Just very little pressure. No pressure at all, actually. You put any pressure on this, it's going to look like you iced a cake. And that's not really the look I'm wanting anyway. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want that either. It just doesn't look right when you do that. You just grab and pull. Just a little bit. The reason I like this little knife for this is these little areas right through here. A little hard to get to with the big knife. You can do it with the big knife. Just come across that peak right there. Push him in the back. Push him towards the back. And you just play with it. There we go. Now we'll get the big knife. We got a lot of territory to cover right through here. So we're just going to big knife here and just go. And yeah, sometimes it just makes a little noise when you do that. And when you start with these, let's say you've never done this before and you're going to an art store or wherever you're going to buy your paints, you need to start with very thick paint. You don't want a lot of oil in your paint when you're doing this. You want a very dry paint, as you'll get your better results on your mountains and stuff if you start off with a dry paint instead of an oily paint. So now we got our basic mountain going here, so we need to diffuse this area. So you're just going to get you a brush and just tap down in the same angle you got your highlights on. If you're going this way, just go this way. If your lowlights are going this way, like this one is, then tap this way. All this does is kind of diffuse the bottom of your mountain and getting ready for the next one. Getting ready for whatever you're going to do next. And then gently, just barely lift up. And just kind of take out some of the tap marks when you're doing this. Just barely touch that canvas. There we go. Something about like that. And then we have your first mountain. Isn't it pretty? It is. I know it is. All right. Now, we're going to get a darker mountain over here because that's further back. So get a little bit of that paint that you mixed up prior, and let's darken it up by adding some black to it. There we go. We're going to loosely mix it because I like the variation of colors you get when it's loosely mixed. If If you mix it real good, then you ain't got as many variations. Now, this thing don't look that light right now, right? It's just kind of over there. Now this one is gonna make it look really super dark. We're gonna go up way up high here and just kind of, we're gonna have a dark mountain here. And it's scraping off right in here. Value stays up there, but getting rid of some of that excess paint right there. Now we're gonna go over here and go. Ooh, man, I missed my deal up there. See the variations here? You got crimson, you got black, you got blue. That's what I like to see when I'm painting my mountain here. Just gives you a little more, I don't know, authentic mountain vibe to it. If there is such thing. Well, there is now, because I just told you there was. I don't lie to you. Now, we take our brush we just had. Where is it? There it is. Take our 1-inch brush this way, and we're just going to grab that paint. Try not to grab that top edge. And we're just going to pull it down. Pull it down there. See how much darker that is than that one? It's really got some color to it now. Just push that one way back. Up in here, right here, we don't want much color. We'll put some highlights and lowlights in here. And really pretty this mountain up. I like that. And we'll take our big brush, our big knife again, and pull down into some titanium white. Just plain titanium white. Get that roll of paint out there. That's where your pretties come from. And we're just gonna pull down. Remember, be careful of your angles. The angles is what makes your mountain. Painting is nothing but contrast and angles. That's all you need to remember if you starting painting like this. Just contrast and angles. Get as much contrast and angles as you can. All a mountain is geometry, right? It's got your geometric shapes and stuff. And you just go, yay! Got a mountain up here. Look at this little fella. It's a nice little. I'm just going to put a little bit of variation here. I don't like a complete straight edge on all of them because it just looks too man-made. You know what I mean? So just kind of vary the edges just a little bit here, and then pull your angles down. Be careful of your angles, and you got it. And we're gonna have this guy behind this one. He just looks like he should be behind this guy. We'll pull the lowlights in front of him, and then he'll be behind that one. And we'll just go across here. I think we'll get the small knife for that one. Oh, a little bit of like a valley almost right here. There we go. Man, we got a nice little mountains going here. Look at that. Now we'll take our same low light color like we had over here, and then we'll just pull it over. Yes. Very light touch on these. you're not putting any pressure on this knife. Put a little low light right there. You'll have your little dark cavern, like a chasm going on there. Anywhere you want darkness, or you think there should be a little bit of a shadow, low light, just put this little sucker in. And you just have to grab you a little bit of that low light color and give it a push, pull, whatever. Just give you a nice little, very little, very little pressure on the knife. No pressure at all. Because if you start putting pressure on here, see that little area right there? It's solid. You don't have that background color coming through. And that's what makes your mountain so pretty when you do have that. And if you put too much pressure on it, it's going to look like that. These take a little bit longer to put in. The mountains do than say, far off trees and stuff like that. Because you get to play with these for a little bit longer. And you could really go to town right over here if you wanted to and put a third little hill or a little mountain right through here. But I'm not going to do that tonight. We're going to we're just going to have these two, and then we'll have some distant trees or foothills or something in front of these guys, and we'll go from there. Do stuff like that right there. That's a fact. Just look at that. Look at there. We have pretty good little mountains going here, don't we? And if you ever do get something that's a little too one way or the other, too bright, too dark, too bright, just keep going over it with your knife and you'll pick up some more of that undercolor. And then you'll pretty much have what you want after that. It'll darken up or lighten up. Same way as we did over there. You're just going to tap in. The same way as your color is there. If your mountain's going this way, tap down this way. And I have a lot of mist in the bottom of this one. And there's this one over here too. You don't really want to see the bottom of the mountain because you don't ever see a bottom of the mountain. I don't really think mountains have bottoms, do they? If you stop and think about it, they really don't. And then we'll take and just lift up, get the tap marks out. But be sure to lift up the same way your angles. Be sure the angles are the same on your mountain as you're pulling up with. Just about something like that right there. I think we're good right there, don't you? I think we got a pretty nice little setup here. Okay, now we're going to have some footy heels. We'll have foothills on the bottom of it, around the base of these two mountains. And for that, we're going to mix up just a little bit different colors. Up here, and we're going to use the rest of that paint that we got mixed up. Mixed up way too much. I always mix up way too much paint. We'll put a little sap green in this just to give it a little greenish hue to it a little bit here. And we'll take part of that, put a little white in there, because as you know, if you followed with me at all, if it's the further back it is, the lighter it is. As the landscape moves this way, it's going to get darker. So we'll put a little bit of white mixed in with that color I just made, which is the dark colors, and add a little bit of sap green to it. Now we're just going to mix this up just a little bit. I don't go too nuts with the mixing. Because like I say, you want a little variety in your, or a little, yeah, a little variety in your foothills. And I think today we're going to use the oval brush for your foothills. Just tap into that color that we just made, both sides of the brush. And we're going to go up here and have some foothills. By foothills, I mean just smaller little hills. So we'll go starting right here. Just wherever your little foot, where you think the foothill would live. And just tap that color in. A nice little foothill there. The more you tap with this, the lighter it'll get, and it's mixing with that liquid white and the other colors that are on the canvas already. Now we'll go tap in just, we got this one up here in the air, so we're going to just bring him down just a little bit. Stop him right there, because he was kind of up in the air. Didn't know where he was going. There, got something like that right there. Now then, we kind of got him. We can go one of two ways here. You can either tap the bottom of this, make a little mist, and put another layer of foothills down here. Or, and this is what I'm going to do, you're going to take your, make some reflections here, and just pull straight down. Pull as straight down as you can. If you got a thin layer here, make your reflections small. If you got a longer one, make it a little bit longer. Just pull down a little harder. And you're going to take a little bit of color and just pull down for reflections. And voila. Something about like that. You got reflections, right? And then you're going to take and gently pull that across, like that right there. Like that. Then we have reflections. Now then, to make that look a little bit more interesting, we take our little bit of liquid white and we'll put it right here on the palette. Wipe my knife off just a little bit. Pull across there. So you have a little bit of that liquid white on the tip of your knife and just cut in a little bit of waterline right here. Kind of cleans the bottom of that edge up just a touch. And just kind of wiggle it back and forth till it's the way you want it. You don't want it too bright because this is going to be in the distance here. We don't want it to outshine the mountains here just yet. If you get one that's too bright, just go over it back and forth with your knife a couple of times. It'll darken up. There we go. I'm about like that all the way across. Now, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with this here just yet. But this is going to be a start here, so we don't know what's going to be showing through. Otherwise, you could stop right there if you knew something was going to be covered up. But most of the time, I don't know what's going to be covered up, what's not, until it happens. So it'll be something about like this here. And we're just going back and forth a little bit. I like that right there. I wish I could do this all day. But unfortunately, I have to work. All right, you got something about like that. Like I say, a lot of this is not going to be seen. Some of these are not going to be seen, but we're going to start with that. Now, you could add a little bit of color to these to make it look a little closer to you, but these are going to be a little far off. So we're going to put another line of them, a little bit darker. It's going to be the same basic color, just no white involved. So it's going to be nice and dark. So we're going to come up here and cut across. See how much darker that is? I'm going to just do something about like that for right now, I think. We'll put a little color on some of these here. I'm just going to tap into some of this dark color. In case I didn't say it earlier, my name is Jeff Robinson. I know I said it's JR Oil Painting, but that's just my initials. And it's Jeff Robinson. And so glad you could tune in today. I hope you enjoy my paintings. If you do, give me a subscription hit. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed so far. And I do appreciate you all tuning in. Now, with that being said, here we go. We got this nice couple of little foothills there. I'll just leave that one about right there. Now again, we're going to take our big 2-inch knife, a big 2-inch knife here, a big 2-inch brush, and then we're just going to pull straight down. Just wherever you think there should be, where that land stops or starts. Just remember, if you got a lot here, more down here than over here. There's something about like that. And then very gently, just pull across. And just pull across, about like that. There, I like that. And then we're going to take our knife again. Pull across because we want some of that water line. Right along. Right along in there. Keep them basically straight, your water lines here. You get them too crooked, it's going to look like it looks like you was a drunk sailor when you made it. Nothing against drunk sailors, but I like drunk sailors over down there. They're fun. But here we go. You have a lot of fun with drunk folks. But not when you're painting them. Come on. All right. There we go. Like I say, just keep adding here until you get the way you desire it, whatever your desired effect is. And these are just a little too bright. We're going to loosen them up just a bit. So, I like that. Something about there. Now we're going to put a little color in on this one because it is, I think it's a little closer than that one back yonder. So we're just going to go into some cad yellow, little liquid, a little yellow ochre, cad yellow, a little bit of black and yellow make green. So I've been told. So let's go just a little bit of phthalo green as well. Yeah, you mix that up with those colors, you get a nice bright green. Just a little bit of liquid white in there, just to loosen it up a bit. Tap in that color on your oval brush here, about like that, and then go just above that dark color. And then we're just going to tap in some different colors here. I like that. We're going to go just a little more yellow. And vary the colors just a little bit here and there. That way it looks like there's a multitude of things happening. But we don't want a ton of details on here because it's still off in the distance. We'll start getting some details here in a little bit. Put a little liquid ochre, a little yellow ochre in there, and a little bit of Indian yellow from time to time. And you have your variations of colors and shapes and all kinds of stuff like that right there. About like that. You know, just keep going. If you get one that's too bright, just tap it a couple of times and it'll lighten up. And if you want a little bit of that color down here, just tap it in there. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to look exactly like that. You're just adding some reflective color in there. So take your brush that you've did the reflections with, you're blending, and just pull down, straight down, and then straight across, very lightly. I have to go back and fix some of my water lines. They got a little crooked there. Got a little, washed a couple of them away there. There we go. About like that. So now we got a little bit of color here. No, not so much over there. That's good. Now we're going to put in a few trees, and we'll probably call that a good one for tonight. So we're going to do this. I don't know what kind of tree you figure we ought to have. That's what I thought too. I think we should have an evergreen or two. So we're gonna do that. I'll find a couple of good brushes here. There's one, and there's the other one. That's good. So we'll take our fan brush here, dip it into that really dark color. Load your fan brush full of paint. We want all kinds of paint on that brush. Lots of paint. Now then, we're gonna make a good, a nice evergreen right here. I think we'll go with big evergreen right there to start with. You just put your little line right there. That's kind of a guide, right? Now you're not going to start at the very top of that line. That top of the line is going to be the trunk of your tree. So just come down just a little past that and then just touch. And with the corner of the fan brush. And then just back and forth it. Forth and back it. You add a little more pressure the further down you go. And then see how big we're going to make this little tree here. I think we'll stop right there. Okay, he kind of leaning off to the side. That's all right. They don't have to all be straight. We're going to give him a buddy, maybe a girlfriend over here. Yeah, I think he should have a big, tall girlfriend right here. Yeah. Just same way, just start a little line. See, you don't want to start way up here at the top because that right there is going to be part of the trunk. It's going to be showing. And then just go back and forth. If you want a lot of these hanging downs right here, like that, just use the whole part of the brush. Don't just use the corner, use all of it. If you don't want it, just use the corner as you come down. And then we're going to have this in here as a reflection. So we just tap in a little bit of color here. About like that. This one's going to be just a little bit shorter, so stop it about right there. About like that, right? Now then, we've got us a pretty cool start. Let's get some, I'll tell you what, since we already got these going, let's put some bushes in there with it. I ain't gonna go too nuts with all kinds of brushes on you today. I wanted to get in that dark color, and we're just gonna tap in some more color here. And move your brush around a little bit. Get him some different shapes. And right there, and you'll put a little bit of it down here. All right. Now, we got to start a pretty good forest going here. I like it. Now we'll get a little bit of brown, just regular Van Dyke brown, a little bit of burnt sienna, and a little bit of yellow ochre. I like that combination for some reason. It just makes it look good. Sometimes you don't even have to ask why. You just know it looks good and use it. Very loosely mixed, those three colors, Van Dyke brown, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna. Now we're going to get a little bit of paint on there. We're going to put little trunks in these trees here. I'm going to start at the base here because it's going to be a little bit bigger, right? And then just upwards, upwards, and upwards, just a kind of indication here. Now you're going to see the whole trunk. If you saw the whole trunk, it'd be a naked tree. I don't know about you, but I like my trees non-nakedness. Now we're going to do this. We're going to put a little highlights on these here big old trees. I like my highlights for the number three fan brush. I'm going to dip into some of that cad yellow and sap green. That's it. Just a little bit of sap green and cad yellow. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And a little bit of liquid white. I don't want it too light. You get too light and it won't look right. It won't look right at all. So we'll just mix that on the brush with a little bit of yellow ochre and Indian yellow every once in a while. Now just load your brush up. Now you're going to find out which one's in the foreground, which one's in the background. Foreground's not going to have as much on one side. It's going to be a little darker. And with the light's coming from this angle, because this is where all your snow is on the mountain. So your light's hitting this way. You're going to have a little bit more on this side anyway. So we just touch this little dude here. He's going to be in the background. I just tap in a few little colors here. I'll let it get darker as we go down. Get a little bit more color on the brush. A little bit more liquid white here. And a little bit more sap green. Now then we'll get a little bit of color down here too. Just a little bit. You don't want a lot of color down there because they'll throw you off. It just won't look right. Just tap in some basic highlights here. Cover up some of those low lights. Not all of them. Keep some of that dark color. Trees ain't all one color, you know. A bit of that color down here. I like that. Now then, you say, well, ain't you going to do your reflections? Not yet. Not till we get all our bushes done here. So we're going to go into a little bit of red. A little bit of bright red. I like me a bright red bush, you know that. If you've watched any of my paintings, you know I like to have a bright red bush somewhere. Now we're going to have our little bright red bush right here. And just tap it in here. Put a little bit of that color down here. We're going to keep moving along here. We're going to go into some cad yellow. Make a nice, pretty little orangey shape. A little color here with a little bit of liquid, with a little bit of ochre and Indian yellow. Just vary your colors from side to side and change it as you want. So just above that dark color, pull it down with a little bit of here. Over here too. Don't cover up all that darkness. You need some of that darkness in there to show some light. I'll go just a little bit of yellow ochre and liquid white. Just to kind of vary the flavors up just a little bit. We'll go over here. And then down there. And then we'll finish off our bushes by doing another little one right there. That's a little bit of that color down there. Now then, we're ready to make our reflections here. Looks like a mess right now, doesn't it? Now you just take your 2-inch brush, go very lightly, straight down, straight down, straight down, straight down, straight down. I didn't get too straight there, did I? And then gently go across. There we go. Then we'll take our knife, get a little liquid white in there, and we'll slice in a water line or two. Now you can get all fancy here and get some dirt under there, all that kind of stuff. We're going to kind of go simple today. Sometimes you can go a little too much. Sometimes I think we'll have a little ripple here and there, just to kind of show some movement in this water here. This one's a bit bright. There we go, something like that. And then we got us a little bit of land there, a little bit of water line there. And now we need some over here, I think. Don't y'all think so? I think so too. I do. I think we need another tree over here. He just don't look quite right with just those little trees there and nothing on the other side. So we're going to get that fan brush. Since we're doing the evergreens right now, we're just going to stick with it, I believe. Now you got to figure out where we're going to put that big old tree and how big we're going to go with it. I tell you, I'm going to put one right here that's that big. Some people might ask me, why do you put stuff so overlap so much? Well, it's called distance here. See, you get this, that pushes that hill back and pushes that mountain back a little bit. Put one here, it pushes all this back just a bit. Oh, it's an illusion of depth and distance in your painting. That's what makes your painting a little more interesting. A big one here, right in front of our little foothill that we put in for all that color. Right in front of all those pretty reflections too. You look at that and mess our reflections up. But that's okay. We can do that. You hear my little puppy whining over there. He don't get to come back here and paint with me. He likes to eat the paint. Now you'll have to excuse him. He's messing me up here. Lando will be out in a minute. It won't take much longer, buddy. We're almost done. All right. Those of you painting with me, I do appreciate you tuning in, like I say. We're going to put just a little bit more color right here. And then we're going to put one more. But like I've said before, one tree by itself just don't look quite right. So we're going to put one. Oh, we got to put it right here. It just didn't look right on the other side. Would it? I don't think it would. But anyway, this is what we're going to do here. We're just going back and forth it here. Just back and forth. We'll separate all this stuff out when we put some highlights on them. And we'll put a little bit of color down here for the, yeah. For the old, what you call it? What do I call it? Reflections. Thank you. I knew somebody would tell me. Put in a couple of bushes here. Right here, kind of like that. A little bit of stuff down here for him. Always remember you got reflections when you do this. Because if you got water, there's going to be some reflections. Like that. Oh, and then you also have mess when you drop your whole brush in the paint thinner. I hate when I do that. I do that rather often sometimes. Gonna put some trunk in that tree. I like a little trunk in my trees. And we're just gonna touch and little indications of a trunk here and there. Just occasionally. Not like that. Something like that. And now we go to the all important highlights. Highlights are the fun part. So we're going to hook up a little bit of yellow, cad yellow, sap green, phthalo green, yellow ochre, and a little bit of Indian yellow from time to time. We're just going to mix these on the brush so you get a nice variation of color on your brush. Same way like before, we're going to figure out which goes where. We're going to put this little guy up here and then put in some highlights here and there. And if it gets too much for you, just reload your brush. If you want a little bit of variation in color, just go back and add a little bit in yellow ochre, Indian yellow. Remember, it gets a little darker down here where all the bushes and things are, so don't forget about that. And we'll go back with some of the same colors. We're just doing the same thing with this tree as we did all the rest of them. And remember, just take some practice and a little bit of knowledge from somebody that thinks they know what they're doing. And you can have a beautiful painting yourself. So we're just going to add a few more highlights to this guy. Don't cover up all the dark. You need that dark for the light to show up. And you need the light for the dark to show. But it does get darker as it goes down. And now we got those. Now we're going to put some highlights on our tree, on our bushes here. And like before, I think we'll put a little bit of red. Have a nice little red bush here. Oh, maybe a big red bush. I'll put a red bush down here, like right there. A nice red bush. Now we'll go with some yellow. And liquid white, and some yellow, cad yellow, and liquid white. It's all the same brush. I hadn't cleaned them. And we're just gonna go wee like right there. Put a little bit in front of this guy, and then we'll put some over here. There we go, another one. It'll turn more green over this way. And a little one there, one over there, up there. I'll put a little bit of that color down here too. There, right like that. Now we'll get our big old brush. Find out where you want that land to go. And very gently pull down. Very gently pull down. Remember, go all the way down there, because that's where the biggest reflection would be. Not like that. And then very gently pull across. There we go. About like that. And we'll take our big knife, a little bit of liquid white on there. Basically straight. You know what that was? The water line should be basically straight. If they're a little crooked, it's not a big deal, but it's not going to kill your painting. But basically straight. That's where your water laps up against the land. Okay. Now this one, smooth out a little bit more right here. There we go. Now then, I think we just almost got it finished painting here. That's pretty cool. Now then we'll take our little knife here, scrape in a couple of twigs here, trunks. Usually where there's some dark. That's where what's holding up all these fancy leaves and everything. Pretty colors are these little twigs and trunks and such. And we just wipe our extra off on a paper towel here. About like that. You know, you're just gonna keep it in the darkness there where you're scraping your little twigs and sticks and such. Over here too. Can't leave these guys out. You're just gonna keep scraping where you think there should be a trunk or a tree limb, a little something that holds up these beautiful leaves. Maybe one or two small ones back here, just to get a little indication of something there. And I believe this sucker's ready for a signature. Don't you think so? Well, me too. So we're gonna get our little script liner brush here, dip it in the old paint thinner, and get a little bit of phthalo blue on the brush. You can sign your paintings any way and in any color you so choose. I've just figured out that I like blue is one of my favorite colors, so I just stick with blue to sign this with. You can sign your full name. Do like I do. I just do my initials. JR. And I put the date or at least the year that I painted these critters. Because if I don't, I won't remember. There we go. JR26. Well, it has come to that point where that is a done painting. I do want to say something here that I appreciate y'all tuning in and subscribing when you can. And I do appreciate all you already have subscribed and all the ones that have went over and checked out my website. If you don't know it, it is jroilpaintings.com. Check it out. These will all be up there eventually. Give them a couple of weeks for them to dry, then I post them on that website. They are for sale. If you don't like the prices on them, my email's on the website. Give me an email and we'll discuss price. And if you are local here in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, I will waive the delivery or the shipping charge, and we'll meet somewhere and I can deliver them to you. But you have to be local. You have to be Dallas-Fort Worth area. I can't travel all over the country to delivering these things. So give it a shot. Take a look at what I've got, and please tune in again because I really enjoy painting these for you. And with that, I'm going to bid you a good night, and we will talk to you shortly. Bye.